Hello, YouTube. I just got off the I-10 Rapid, the I-10 West Rapid bus, and I'm way early for work right now. It's Friday, April 14th, 2023, 5:42 p.m. And God, it's been such a depressing period, isolated, and god damn it, fucking shoe just came untied again. I don't understand why it always does that. I'd like to know where the hell those shoes are that were supposed to happen in 2015 that were on Back to the Future 3 that secure themselves when you hit a button. Like, why didn't those ever happen? Alright, I got it secured for the moment. My safety shoes are kind of coming apart, but I think my last code for free shoes at Zappos, I think I let it expire, so I don't know when I get another pair. So I'm just kind of keeping them together. Hey, look, ADOT fixed that hole in the fence. That was there was a gaping hole there the other day when I walked through here, which makes me worried they might have closed off the other side as well. God, I hope not. You know, I can't help but think with all the money they've spent patching that chain link to stop people from going off the other side, that they could have actually finished this road, finished this overpass and connected it to 79th Avenue on the north side. It's like they just don't even care about the people that work over there that need to catch a bus over here. That's the bottom line, is if you don't drive, you're less than human in this city. That's kind of the bottom line on that. And I gotta say, I've been feeling much less than human the last couple of days. So, Priscilla showed up at my place at like 3 o'clock this morning. I already wasn't fucking depressed. Oh, good. It's still open. I don't know. I can't explain it. Apparently, she freshly showered and all cleaned up and stuff. She wasn't interested in any intimacy, at least as far as I could tell. She wasn't. So none of that happened. She said that she came because she needed that $120 back, which is fine. You know, I owe her that, and I'm get it to her, I guess. I just kind of wish I'd have had it on me in cash, so I could have just given it to her and told her to go away. But I didn't. And you know, when I did the money shuffle the other day from, what was it, Wednesday morning, moving cash from Wells Fargo over to Chase, it just didn't even occur to me that I needed to pull 120 out for Priscilla. It just was the last thing on my mind, or I'd have done it. Which is fine. I got that handled on the way to work downtown today. So yeah, that's. So I don't know when I'll see her again. I offered to, like when she showed up at my place at like 3, I offered to walk up to the ATM and get it, and she's like, I don't want you walking right now. I'm a lot more comfortable walking at 3 in the morning than I am, in the daytime. There's a lot less people out, a lot less traffic out. So I feel like it's a whole lot safer to walk, when I'm less likely to get hit by cars. And I don't have to deal with the glare of the sun, the heat. It's actually pretty mild today. It's a little windy though. So I had quite the idiot moment on Thursday on the way home, and I maybe should have vlogged on the way home Thursday. I was thinking about it. I just kind of decided against it. So Wednesday night, Thursday morning, I had a pretty pleasant and interesting night at work. Just loaded trucks. Like at the stand up, it was like, oh well, it's Thursday. I know what I'm doing. I'm doing pallet receive. As John doesn't work on Wednesday nights, and then when I got there, I realized that there were other people, not forklift drivers, but other people with several other people making notes and writing down what was going on with the pallet receive and moving it around with pallet jacks. And they seem to be doing something where they're hauling stuff, pallet receive directly from inbound, and occasionally even hauling totes, palletized totes, over to the fluid load docks. And nobody's really explained to me like what the procedure for that is or how that's working. It does seem to be getting things handled, so I guess that's a good thing, but I feel like I've been kind of kept out of the loop on how that's working. And the last day I worked on pallet receive, it just made things really complicated for me, because as I was making lists and trying to move things around the way I do it, oh look, there's a new structure, homeless person structure over here. That's fabulous. The whack thing is I see all these guys that are homeless and they've got women rolling with them. And they seem to be a lot less depressed and lonely than I am. Which has me thinking maybe on one of my days off I should just go kind of wander around and hang out down at homeless encampments. And see if I can find myself some community or companionship or something. Because the isolation and loneliness lately has just been eating me up. On that note, I met a pretty cute woman sitting and waiting for the bus at 44th Street today. Although, when I pulled up the Valley Metro app and was able to see that the next bus that was coming was running 30 minutes late, and it was about, I want to say it was about 4:15-ish. About 4:15 p.m. And the next bus wasn't going to be there till 4:45. And she's like, well, damn, I'm trying to get to DES over on 52nd Street. I said, 52nd Street in Washington. She said, yeah. She says, by the time that gets here, I won't be able to catch my bus to transfer over there. I'm like, nope, there's no way you're getting over there from here by bus. Says, your best bet's probably to get one of those Lime scooters over there. And she walked off. So I don't expect I'll ever see her again. I did tell her at one point that yeah, it's just, the whole situation is just fucking miserable, and I feel like I'm just mostly waiting to die these days. She's like, well, that sounds awful. I'm just like, yeah, kind of it is. Anyway, so yeah, work Wednesday night. So I started the night. I rolled across, picked up my forklift, and I rolled across to not 139 and 140, because that's like the first two pallet receive docks, but the next three over, which also handle a lot of pallet receive. And there was no, there just really wasn't any work for me there. And I did my usual walking across the docks and making a note of what trucks or what warehouses were at each dock, and then walking back and making notes of what was loaded at every place. And it's kind of odd. Brett was driving. He was over in 132, 133, which is weird because he's a PA, but sometimes like he's just driving, doesn't seem to be working in any PA capacity, but he's still a PA. So like I kind of figure he's still sort of keeping track of stuff, I guess. Anyway, I walked back to him and I said, well, I don't really know that there's anything I can do yet for pallet receive. I said, but it doesn't look like the old guy, but I see a whole lot of work to do over at 126, 127, and 128, and it doesn't look like the next driver over is heading over there to do it. You think I should go over and handle it? And he just kind of looked at me and kind of gave me that, well, if you want to, kind of look. So I did. And then once I got over there, I just stayed busy with it all night long. And the most unusual thing, and I don't know why I found it, I don't know, stupid little details sometimes just intrigue me. Oh, that's gross. There's the little rodent traps that they use. Hope there's nothing dead in those. So every truck has a number, and it's usually written on the inside of the truck, near the back. You know, when you open it, you'll see it, and it's usually a 6-digit number, or an 8-digit number. Occasionally, it's a 5-digit number or a 4-digit number, and then on the screen, it's prefaced with a carrier code, which is usually a 4, occasionally 5-letter code. Anyway, one of the trucks I was loading was over at dock 128. The truck number was 1. Like I noticed as I rolled in it that there was a 1. Well, actually, I started because I was kind of looking closer at the truck number because normally when I load the first pallet into an empty truck, and all 3 trucks in that loading corral were empty. Usually when I load my first pallet is when I'll fill out a handwritten manifest for that truck, and that's when I'll copy down the first thing I write down on it is the truck number. Well, anyways, whoever had docked those trucks apparently at the end of day shift had gone ahead and started a manifest for all 3, which to me seems premature to start it before you're actually loading any pallets in it. And they had super sloppy handwriting compared to mine, so that was a little frustrating. That it's like, all right. So anyway, I'm checking the information on the ones that were started just to make sure it's accurate. And on this one, I look at the truck number, and on the sheet he wrote 0001. And I peek inside the truck, and the only number inside the truck is just a 1, just a 1. And so yeah, that was that truck number was 1, and it didn't. I forget what the carrier was. It was a carrier code I've never seen before. So it was an interesting truck. It kind of caught my eye. Like when I first went through it, I noticed it was sort of rough riding on the floor, which, anytime that happens, I'm about stopping and backing up and turning on the lights in my forklift and inspecting the floor and making sure there's no issues with it that are going to result in my wheels falling through the floor, because sometimes there is. I've had, when I first started forklift driving, there was a truck in the wood pallet area that had a forklift stuck in it for like 3-4 days, maybe longer than that, and it had fallen through the floor. Like all 3 wheels had fallen through the floor, and then the bottom of the forklift was sitting flush with the floor. And I'm thinking, my God, if that would have happened to me, I would have probably shit my pants and started crying, because this was right when I first started driving. And the funny thing is that it happened on a Thursday, and thank God, like, that I had my karaoke gig then and didn't work Thursdays. because every other day, like, I was the guy loading pallets. If it was any day other than a Thursday that would have happened, that would have been me, and on night shift. So yeah, I've been very cautious of that since. And I want to say maybe about a month later, there was a truck that I noticed the floor was kind of sketchy, and I reported it to my manager, and he looked it over and was like, yeah, this is no good. And he did send it away. So I'm kind of expecting this with truck one, because it was a pretty rough ride going in there. And then when I got out, I looked at it over closely, and I was actually surprised by what I saw. But there was just very meticulous repairs that had been done to the wood floor of this truck. Like very precise, meticulous repairs. And it made it a little rougher ride than the floors of most trucks are. But I'm thinking, God, this truck has a number 1 on it. And a carrier code I've never seen before. This has got to be some super small independent carrier that's doing contract work with Amazon. Because that's how most carriers are with Amazon. I mean, Amazon's got their own truck fleet, don't get me wrong. But, I mean, mostly we contract with very large trucking companies like J.B. Hunt. I know we get a lot of J.B. Hunt trucks here, especially the most of our intermodal shipping containers are J.B. Hunt, which usually those are going to warehouses in the Midwest or further east, and I would imagine they're just getting hauled via truck to a nearby train depot. I don't know exactly where that would be, but to a nearby train depot, and getting placed on a train and taken closer to their destination, and then delivered to whatever warehouse they're going to from there via truck. But yeah, more of those. I think we get more of those that are J.B. Hunt than we do that are actually owned by Amazon. But we do get some random ones, and of course I don't get to see what the outside of the trailers look like. I just see the insides of them, and this one was kind of unique on the inside. It definitely looked like it had been through a lot, but it looked like it had some very, very, very meticulous repairs done to it. Repairs that a major shipping company wouldn't have messed with, where they would just been like, yeah, this truck is done, just dispose of it. Or they just redo the entire floor, as opposed to the kind of repairs, the very obviously done by hand type repairs that were done to this one. And I don't know, as I was in that, I just kept imagining, what it was like for that person, who owned that, and imagining that it was probably somebody who, worked in trucking and was like, someday I want to own my own trucks and my own trailers, and at some point managed to pick up a used trailer, because I could tell that from the inside, like there were some marks where it had previously had like a 5-digit number and also a 6-digit number, which had been painted over and buffed out. And I'm thinking, yeah, this guy probably picked up a used trailer at auction that was kind of rough and did all the repairs to it himself and managed to get a contract. And maybe Amazon was the first contract, maybe not, I don't know. But anyway, I loaded all of truck 1 by myself, which I guess makes me the number 1 truck loader here at GYR3. Anyway, on that happy note, I'm going to go inside. I forget what else I was wanting to talk about, but that's certainly that's what I was thinking about blogging about as I was leaving on Thursday morning. Thursday night, I didn't wake up. I don't know. I woke up kind of in the middle of the day, Thursday, and then at some point went back to sleep, and then didn't wake up again until 3 a.m. Thursday night, Friday morning, when Priscilla was dinging at my doorbell. And I probably could have just laid there and she would have probably went away because my car wasn't there. But I don't know. It's stupid me opening the door hoping that maybe sex would happen, but it didn't. One point she sat up and I kind of massaged her neck. It's like, what are you doing? I'm like, touching your neck. I don't know, I just stopped. It's like, yeah, obviously it is. Anyway, yeah, it's frustrating. I just need to give her $120 so she'll go away. Because just a little bit of time I spend with her usually puts me in such a depressive funk that I just end up feeling suicidal for days afterwards over what's, not happening. And I feel like it's stopping me from moving on to somebody that I might actually be happy with, Um, I think rest about my ride going home Wednesday. It feels like there was something notable that happened, and I wanted to talk about it, and now I can't remember what. Oh, so apparently so I took the rapid bus as per usual to downtown and transferred to light rail, and the light rail seemed to be taking longer than normal for the connection, and I didn't open. It used to be whenever I would ride transit, I'd always be opening the Valley Metro app, but since it doesn't work on my iPhone and it's kind of annoying to use on my Obama phone, I just didn't. I'm just riding. It's a really creepy woman sitting at the bus stop. At one point, she looked at me and she goes, "Don't get up my ass." I'm like, ew, okay. Wasn't thinking of that at all. Gross. But anyway, yeah, anyway, by the time I got to 44th Street, it seemed like I was sitting there a little longer than usual, and there was this couple that was arguing. The way they were arguing, it just kind of sounded like they were homeless people sharing a hotel room, and it was a bad situation. And at one point, one of them was like, "How much longer on this damn bus?" At which point I felt like I'd been waiting there longer. And the other thing is trying to get across 44th Street, like that transfer's miserable. Like you cross half of Washington, and then sometimes it just takes forever to get across 44th Street. It's just so many lanes of traffic to cross for a bus transfer. I don't understand why that. Actually, come to think of it, that bus does come into. Come to think of it, that bus does come into the SkyTrain station and use it as a transit spot. I just kind of got on the habit of going over there to catch it because most of the time that transfer doesn't give me enough time to get there, and it barely gives me enough time to get across 44th Street to catch it. Anyway, it took longer than normal to get across 44th Street. And then sat there for a while with them, and I'm sitting there looking, and it's after 7 o'clock. Like, I don't remember how much after 7 o'clock, maybe only about 5 or 10 minutes after 7 o'clock, but I'm thinking to myself, okay, I used to take this trip home all the time, and I usually, like clockwork, get out by the QT right before 7 o'clock. So obviously I've missed a transfer here. And anyway, when that one woman was like, "Well, how much longer on this bus?" And I popped open the app, and I'm like, 20 minutes. Screw that, I'm taking a scooter, and I just hopped on a Lime and rode a Lime home, and it wasn't bad. It was a pretty quick ride, and I think it was just like $4 and change the ride, so that wasn't too terrible. Especially considering I didn't have another bus pass. I just paid for a one-way trip. I had paid for a one-way trip on the Rapid because I can't buy a regular day pass on the Rapid. They only sell the Rapid day passes, which are useless for me because the Rapid day passes are good for an AM and a PM ride on the same date, and I'm taking, I don't work downtown. I work out here, so like I wasn't working that night, so. And I don't think that those passes are good on regular buses. So I still was, I would have had to pay $2 to ride the bus. So what the hell, $4 to ride the scooter and not wait was I don't know. It just felt better. But yeah, other than that, I just laid at home. I've been, I don't know, just spreading my depression across Reddit. I don't know. I put one comment about how being a convicted felon just limits my opportunities that really resonated and got well over 500 upvotes and a lot of responses. Yeah, I appreciate the well wishes from homeless people, but it still doesn't really open up doors for me to have a better life. Except for one guy. He said he was a felon and became a lawyer, and they would like to look into what I can do to maybe expunge it. But I just worry that even if I do get it expunged, it doesn't change the fact that it's in all these databases and all these, background checker type companies like Checker. I mean, as I've explained in this vlog in the past, I had my Airbnb membership canceled, account canceled due to background check. So I can't rent an Airbnb anymore. I had my my application to, over automated background checks, I have my application to Lyft denied, and to Postmates, and also to DoorDash. So, and the fact that I'm being denied for stuff like that just kind of makes me not want to, and then I have, prior to getting the job at Amazon, I mean, I completed so many applications and just never heard back from anybody, with the exception of I had that one interview with Penske, and then I had a scheduled interview to Shamrock that I didn't make it to. But yeah, everything else I just never heard back, and all I can think is that they just ran a check on me, and they're like, "Oh, felon, nope." So, and even if I got it expunged from Arizona, court record, I don't know. I just don't feel like it would really disappear. I mean, somebody even commented on Reddit, because I just kind of blew up that whole thread when I put that in there. Somebody had commented on there about how they had got theirs expunged and it didn't make a difference because, and then they explained all the things where they could still see it, and even if you've gone through getting it expunged, there's still record of it that doesn't go away, and you'll still be discriminated because of it. So yeah, at one point I'm just like, yeah, probably my only way to my only escape of being discriminated as a felon is to end it and hope that reincarnation thing works. But I don't know. I guess this is the life I'm doomed to. And the shitty thing is, I had some asshole that was like, "Oh, do the crime, enjoy the time." The fucked up thing is, I didn't do the crime. I mean, technically, I did. I guess I did swiftly deliver a kick to the butt of a teenage kid. That did happen, but I wasn't in control of myself. Like I was having a psychiatric, we call it I forget what the heck the thing is called. I was having a schizophrenic episode when it happened, so I didn't really understand like what was going on, or honestly, I thought I was in the middle of a dream. And there was evidence of that could have been presented at trial. If I'd have had a real lawyer and not a public pretender, I could have presented evidence that that I was having issues with my medication, that somebody had stolen my medication, and I was at the grocery store trying to replace my medication, and that I, as a consequence of not having my medication, that I was having an episode to where I didn't know what was going on, and was not like, in order to get a criminal conviction in a situation like that, there has to be criminal intent. The person has to knowingly do that, and I was not in a mental state to have been knowingly doing anything. So there was that. The other issue is that the quote-unquote victim, his parents never cooperated whatsoever with law enforcement, and then come to find out that kid that kid later was a juvenile delinquent who went to prison when he was 18. So yeah, we're talking about this is a bad kid anyway that was taunting me. I feel like in the situation, I was the victim. I was the person who was having a medical problem where I needed to be under care, and this was a teenager that had no business taunting a stranger in an alley and following a stranger who was having psychiatric issues through a store. I mean, this kid followed me. He followed me down a street, through the store, when I went in to try and get my pills replaced from the Fry's Pharmacy, and then followed me back down the street and just taunted. I remember taunting me the whole time. And if that had gone to trial, I mean, there's no way I would have had a conviction. But the real thing, and this was something that was never shared by the prosecuting attorney, was never shared with my attorneys, and I ended up finding out many years later when I started doing record searches, is that the parents of the kid that I kicked in the butt was not cooperating with the prosecution whatsoever. So without that cooperation, the police couldn't really do anything anyway. So I mean, there's multiple reasons why, had it gone to trial, I would have not been found guilty. But when I got into the hospital, not the hospital. I'm sorry. When I got into the jail, I was in really bad psychiatric shape, and I was medicated heavily, and it just feels like I was there forever. I was there for many, many months, and I was curled up under my bunk, sleeping almost all the time. And I was told, and they had me on a huge bond. It was something like $25,000, which, as poor as my family is, it may have been $24 million. So I wasn't getting out. And I was told by my public defender that if I didn't take a plea bargain, that I would not be getting out of jail. Full stop. That's what I was told. So I ended up taking this plea bargain that was supposed to make it a Class 6 undesignated felony. And it was supposed to, and that it would be, I guess, can change down to a misdemeanor upon completion of a year of probation. But wasn't explained to me like what the terms of the probation would be. And then when I was on the probation, it was just all these just meetings and shit that I had to pay for, and all this anti-drug programs, which is fucked up because I didn't do drugs at all. All I wanted to be was a cab driver then, and I was good as a cab driver, but then I would always have to be in a situation where I had to go across town during a part of the afternoon when the traffic was horrible, at my expense, to like 67th Avenue and 67th Avenue in Glendale. And then anytime I was late because of traffic, or because I had a fare in my cab that would take me out of the area when I was trying to be in the area, and then I'd have to double back to that area, they were wanting to violate my probation, and it would be all these meetings about drugs and alcohol. But I didn't do drugs or alcohol. I was a very staunch non-drinker. I didn't drink at all. I didn't even drink socially back then because I was a cab driver. I drove all the time, so I didn't drink. And I did smoke weed a little bit, but I mean that for me, with my psychiatric conditions, I mean that's self-medicating. Everybody should know that. And anyway, so of course I ended up violating my probation. It's a long story, and I should just get over it and get my ass into work. But anyway, I don't know. The whack thing is that that was in 1996. And my probation revocation hearing was in, I want to say 1998 or 1999, when I finally agreed to a plea bargain, which basically gave me the presumptive of 1 year in prison minus time served, which I had so much time served at that point that I went to prison for about 6 weeks. And I thought I'd come out of that and like, well, you serve your time. You've paid your, in theory, like once you've served your time, you've supposedly paid your debt to society. But, here it is. I mean, I came out of prison in early 1999, and I only had one meeting with my parole officer, and then that completed my parole, because the amount of time that you spend on parole is based on how long you're actually in prison, and I was only in prison for like 6 weeks. So I was released from parole in early 1999, and here it is, 24 years later, and I'm still denied so many normal opportunities. Like I can't even stay at an Airbnb or drive for Lyft or deliver food with my own car for Postmates or for DoorDash. And it's just, I don't know, it just seems massively shitty and unfair. And it seems like the only way to escape this life sentence of closed doors due to being a convicted felon in Arizona is to unalive myself and hope that reincarnation works. Is it worth it? I don't know. Pretty fucking miserable these days, I'll tell you that.